Hi guys, Miss Novello here. We're going to talk about dip pens. So I have a couple dip pens from Speedball and a little jar of India ink, and you can see I've practiced some lettering. So we're going to go over some basics so that your lettering can be a success. The very first thing you're going to want to do is get a ruler and start drawing lines to map out where your wording is going to go. You'll already have planned this out in class, but for your final draft, that's how you want to prepare yourself. You want your letters to look balanced. You want your spell to look well mapped out, so map it out. And then you're going to use a pencil to draw out your letters. I recommend trying to make your letters to where they're not too smushed together. You want them to have a little bit of space in between. So as you're drawing smaller, keep that in mind to try and keep spaces in between your letters. And that just prevents ink from running into letters and blurring the lines, kind of like what you see here in these areas. Okay, so you've already practiced using the dip pen in class, but a couple things to point out. This is a nib, and this is where you'll dip the ink, dip the nib in the ink, and it is stored in this little reservoir. You want to hold the pen to where you're constantly keeping the nib in the same direction. Now, as opposed to writing with a regular pencil and pen, we typically move our hand to create our lettering. But for using a dip pen, you really need to keep your hand steady and use your whole arm when creating your lettering. The only difference between using a calligraphy and a dip pen is that you're going to be pressing down in your downstrokes and lifting up in your upstrokes to create contrast between your downstrokes and your upstrokes. So let's give it a go. Dip my pen, and as soon as I dip it, I want to make contact to paper. Okay, make sure that my pen is staying in the right direction. I'm going to press down on my downstrokes and lift up in my upstrokes and press down. See how that had a lot of ink there? So let's try it again. Dip my pen. As I go up, I'm pressing lightly. As I'm going down, I'm pressing down, releasing more ink. Up, light, down, press down, and dip. So it's going to take you a little while for you to practice getting the right control and learning the right amount of pressure, and also how much ink is going to last within each letter. And then making sure that if you have to reload your ink in between your letters, you are not repeating the same lines, thus making the ink more thick than it needs to be. So that's why you practiced in class, but for your final draft, you are going to be using those techniques on your lined paper that you create to dip pen over your spell. Have fun!